Hello, Facebook. So tonight I've got Kimberly Murphy Miller from High Point Mitsubishi. It is a Friday night, so this live video is only hustlers out there who are hustling and that are still up and trying to make something of themselves. So Kimberly, let's start out with, how did you meet me? How did we come across each other?
It was probably about 3 years ago. I actually did a demo with you when I worked at another dealership, and we signed on and did TECOBI with you guys back then.
Okay, so that was like 2 years ago, huh?
At least 2 years ago.
And since then, you've kind of followed me on Facebook and what we're doing here at TECOBI?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so you actually work at a Mitsubishi store in North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
And what's your title for that store?
BDC manager.
Okay, and how many people are in your BDC?
Myself and one other person.
Okay, and that's Jordan. So I kind of know Jordan
Yeah.
now. And what size store is this? How many cars total per month does this store usually sell? Do you know?
Before this month or before February, we were anywhere between 70 to 80. We hit 90 a couple of times.
Okay. So it's a medium-sized Mitsubishi store, and you run a two-person BDC. Other than TECOBI, do you work other leads out of that BDC, or was it primarily TECOBI, or do you have other lead sources as well?
We do have other lead sources. A lot of the normal things that come in, and then we do some mailers.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
And I believe February was your first full month on TECOBI. Is that correct?
That's right.
And you guys went ahead and signed up for one of our largest packages, which was $15,000. And there's a certain percentage of that goes to Facebook, and some of it comes to us for our software and what we do. And I've got the numbers pulled up here. In the month of February, we generated 1,591 leads. Does that sound accurate?
That does.
That's a lot of leads for two people.
It is a lot.
Are your fingers sore?
Most definitely. We definitely put in some work this month.
Yeah, I'd have to say you put in some work. So we've had dealers with varying success. I mean, a lot of them tend to struggle with the Facebook leads, and you guys kind of came out of the gate and hit it out of the park. I do see that 1,100 of those leads actually engaged. And just for those people who don't know what we mean by engaged, we consider engaged 2 text messages from someone. So out of the almost 1,600 leads, 1,100 of those actually sent in 2 text messages. And you and Jordan were able to set 293 appointments on those. Does that sound about accurate?
It's actually, yes, through TECOBI, yes. There are some additional leads that came in that should have been credited that weren't in the TECOBI system.
Right.
But there was some more appointments, but yes.
Okay, so 293 appointments, and your show rate is actually phenomenal, which it looks like you had about 215 people show up from the TECOBI leads that you set appointments on. Does that sound about accurate?
About right.
So that's a 73% show rate on Facebook leads. And just so everyone's clear, this is 100% Facebook leads that they put into TECOBI, and that's a 73% show rate. Now, would you say the majority of the appointments you set were they over text message or from the phone calls?
Over text message for sure. We do very little on the phone. We reach out to them initially once the lead comes in, but we do a majority of it through text message.
Right. So it looks like about 1,300 outbound phone calls. That's you following our process of wanting you to call the people as soon as the lead comes in.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then if they don't answer, then you fall back on text message, and then you're setting those appointments over text message.
Yeah.
And one thing that I kind of want to point out to the industry is when I first launched our texting program, a lot of people said, "Oh, well, people that you set text message appointments aren't going to show up." And I think you guys actually proved that wrong with a 73% show rate. I mean, that's a pretty strong show rate. So let me ask you, these are higher funnel customers. So they're people who weren't necessarily out shopping for a vehicle. They're people that just saw an ad on Facebook and it got their attention. Did you run across some people who said, "I was just looking, I'm not really, ready to buy a car right now"?
Absolutely.
And how did you address that? I mean, did you dig into them a little bit more to see why they were clicking on it?
Yeah, I mean, you just don't click on something. You don't accidentally click on something.
Right.
So there was something there that they liked. So we continue to follow up with them. And some people just don't want to be contacted, which is fine. But they contacted us for a reason, so we're going to continue to contact them until they tell us to stop or they come in and purchase a vehicle.
Right. So how long have you worked in BDC?
For about 6 years.
6 years now?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming most of your BDC experience, you've had someone telling you to make phone calls, right? Just phone call, phone call, phone call.
Yep, all the time.
So if you had to sit back and say texting, how has this month changed your view on setting appointments through BDC?
Texting is definitely where it's at. A majority of the appointments that we set were from text messages, but people want to talk through text message. When after I get off of work, I don't want to talk on the phone, so because I've been on the phone most of the day, so I text, and a lot of the younger people text these days. So text message is definitely where it's at.
Now, before TECOBI, when you were making more phone calls, what were you getting a lot of voicemails when you call people?
Yes, a lot,
And
especially during the day.
how often was someone's voicemail not even set up?
More times than they were set up.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. So now let's talk about cars sold real quick. So 215 shows. How many cars do you know for a fact that you sold off of the Facebook leads?
58 for a fact.
58 for a fact. So there's 58. See, a lot of people they don't think you can track sold units off of social media. They say there's not really a trackable ROI. It's for brand recognition. So are you 100% sure you sold those 58 people from leads that came off of Facebook?
Absolutely.
And would you say that there's some additional traffic that you got that was from what we were doing on Facebook that wasn't necessarily turned into a lead?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
How much did your analytics on your website go up this month?
I don't know specific numbers, but it definitely went up. Our leads through our website alone went up. More credit applications through our website, so it's definitely up.
All right. So 58 trackable, provable, sold units off of Facebook advertising. And did you guys break your dealership record this month?
Yes, we did.
Right on.
For sure.
Right on. Do you know what the total was for the whole store?
108.
108. Awesome. Wow. So that's strong. So I'm assuming the bosses are happy this month, and we're going to be shooting for 120 next month, aren't we?
At least.
So let's talk a little bit about the way you follow up in TECOBI, because it is completely different than a normal follow-up process with a lead. How do you follow up in TECOBI? What's the process you follow to follow up with someone in TECOBI?
So when we initially reach out to them, if they don't respond the next day, we're sending out text blasts to re-engage with the customer. If the customer wants us to reach out a little bit later, we pause the customer until they're ready for us to talk to them. So it's super easy to engage with them, to keep them engaged, because you can send out the text blast and have so many people, answer you in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I think I sent one the other day when I first was like, hey, you guys got to send these more often. And I sent one in there. How many people replied to that?
Oh my goodness. At one point we had 70 something customers in queue waiting. And thank God for the ninjas, because that's a lot for two people to keep up with, and they're amazing. So I'm super thankful for them.
Yeah, the ninjas are kind of backup guys. So when we're doing follow up, it works so well that you end up with this long line of people that are waiting for a response, and that's where our ninjas can come in and help with those responses if your team falls behind or gets backed up too much from the responses. So is it a completely different follow up process than what you would follow in a normal CRM?
Absolutely.
Now, is it easier or is it harder than a normal CRM?
It's so much easier. You're taking the work out of it, like the thinking out of it. It's a click of a button. You're texting with a customer. It's super easy to engage with them. It's just real easy.
Now, out of all the appointments that you set, what percentage would you say were over text message? If you just had to put a number on it.
I'd say 85, 90%.
Wow. So 85 to 90%, that's strong. And then out of all the appointments you set, how many of those, because we're going to talk more about like the Facebook aspect of it. Normally in most leads that dealerships get, you got customers who are on a specific vehicle. They know exactly what vehicle they're looking at. They want a price quote on it. They want to see if it's available. So out of the Facebook customers, were you sending price quotes? Were you quoting anything on the vehicle before setting the appointment?
For the most part, no. We did have some customers on specific vehicles that would want to know the price, but for the most part, no. We weren't going into detail on vehicles. We were just setting the appointment.
Right. And I know with the Facebook leads, there's a big range in the credit score of the customer. You could have a 400 and a 800 right next to each other. Were you doing any qualification? Would you qualify people before they came in, or were you just trying to set the appointment?
So a majority of the time we just set the appointment. If the customer pushes and wants to know, can I get a vehicle, then we will qualify them. But as far as going over any specific information, we set the appointment and they have to come into the dealership.
Right. Awesome. So most of the time it's basically setting the appointment to get them in. So if I was one of those customers and I said, hey, I tried getting approved somewhere else and they couldn't get me done. Can you get me pre-qualified? What would you tell me?
Absolutely. We can go ahead and get you pre-qualified. And then, based on the information that you provide, once we do get you pre-qualified, you do qualify to work with some of our lenders. Your next step's coming into the dealership with your driver's license, proof of income, and proof of residence, and we'll get you going from there.
Awesome. So 1,600 leads for two people. Before TECOBI, would you have ever thought that was possible?
No.
How many BDC people do you think you would have needed in a world without TECOBI?
For 1,600 leads, I would have at least needed 4 more people, I'd say.
Yeah.
To efficiently work those leads.
And you had other leads, like website leads. How many other leads on top of TECOBI do you think you guys get per month?
We probably had another 600 internet leads.
So for two people, you had about 2,100 total leads, maybe 2,200 total leads that two people worked for the month.
Yep.
That's
right.
pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. If you had to tell everyone about TECOBI and your opinions of it, what would you tell them?
It's a game changer. If you want to take your dealership to the next level, then TECOBI's a must. When I called Dan back in January, I said, we need to get to the next level. We need to hit 100 cars. And he said, we can do it. And we signed up and we did it the first month, the first full month that we were on TECOBI. So if you're not using TECOBI, you're missing out. You're missing money. That's the bottom line.
I'd say it's pretty amazing the clients that embrace it and put together a process that work with these leads. So is there anything else you'd like to say?
No. And that's the thing, is it's a process. You have to work the process. If you're not willing to work the process and you're not bought into the process and what you're selling, then there's no need in doing it, because it's a process. You have to follow the process. And that's the biggest thing that me and Jordan did all month is we stayed on the process, and we were successful.
Yeah, you guys followed the process to a T. I'll tell you, it's taken me 3 years to refine that process, and countless dealerships that we've learned from and grown from. And if you follow the process, you're going to sell cars. I mean, I have not seen one dealer that follows the process. And out of all of our dealers, you and Jordan stayed on process better than any other dealership that's ever used our product. So I salute you two. I'm looking forward to an amazing March. Maybe need to get you guys another BDC person so we can get to 120, 130. And
we're working on that right now.
Yeah, I think we can squeeze some more appointments out of there if we had one more person in that department. So I think with what you're spending, we could probably get to 75, 80 cars. I think there's probably 75, 80 car deals in there with one more person. So the pipeline's building. That was just your first month. You've got a whole nother month now ahead of you, and you're going to generate another 1,600 leads this month. So it's going to be on top of it. And I appreciate you getting on here and going through this video with us. Really, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank y'all. Thank you Thank you for making it easier.
Yeah, everyone, if you have any questions, just reach out, let us know. You can talk to Kimberly anytime. She's on Facebook. Make it a great day. Crush it.